Kisses all around. Yeah. Finally, I've had the chance to sit down and film this video. It's been on my brain for a while to film a postpartum, or like how my postpartum has been going, but also a little recap of my 3rd trimester. And then I'm also going to talk a little bit more about my birth. Our birth video, I was just real quick to talk about it. I also didn't really talk about, you know, my birth. You know, I talked about kind of the situation, but I didn't really talk about the breathing techniques, how it was for me, did I tear, you know, stuff like that. You know, if some mamas want to know more of the nitty-gritty stuff, I guess. I also have some footage that I didn't show on my birth video that, you know, a lot of my friends have asked about, like what kind of breathing techniques and what did it sound like. And, you know, I talked about the sound that I made when I was giving birth and how I was like roaring like a tiger, and you know, they wanted to see that. And so I thought it'd be kind of cool, I guess I'd show it on this channel. So I will probably show a little more behind the scenes or a little more footage of my birth and talk a little bit more about that. So with that being said, let's just get right into it. I'm also going to be talking about some of my favorite baby products that I've been using so far, just a couple of them, and then answer some Instagram questions because I just put a Q&A on Instagram asking for people to ask questions. And of course we have Fox sleeping right here next to me. I'm not gonna move him because I finally got him down for a nap. He's sleeping very cozy. So for my 3rd trimester, went really well. I've been very lucky with my 1st and 2nd trimester with not really getting sick. Things were going really smooth. I honestly had a really beautiful pregnancy. I loved being pregnant, seeing my belly grow. One thing during my 3rd trimester that was pretty stressful that I probably won't do again is travel. Like travel. Like traveling I think was fine. It was just the moving part. You know, we moved from Komorebi. We had Christmas with my family and then we came here to this new property, and there was just a lot going on to where I had to like not stress out, to not get overworked, and it was just hard to find time to put my feet up, packing boxes and getting on planes and flying with 2 dogs with being pregnant, and there was just a lot. It was a lot. So that was probably something that I shouldn't have done. It was move during my 3rd trimester. The teas that I had during my 3rd trimester were raspberry leaves, nettle, oat straw, red clover, dandelion leaves, dandelion root, alfalfa. I did make a video about all the teas that I drank during my pregnancy, 1st, 2nd, 3rd trimester, so if you are more curious about the teas I drank and why, definitely go check out that video. It's a really good one. Yeah, and obviously, if you guys watched the birth video, you know that I had our little baby early, so I didn't finish out my full 3rd trimester, which is fine. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the birth, the actual just birth part, nothing around it. If you guys want to know more about everything that happened, go check out our birth vlog video, but this is just going to be the birth. So the birth, you know, it's hard for me to talk about because, you know, it didn't go the way that I wanted it to go, but it's okay. I'm letting it go, and, you know, there are some moments late at night when I'm breastfeeding him and I'm staring at him and I think about everything that played out and me not being with him for the first 3 days of his life, you know, I get really emotional and I cry and I let it out and I smile at him because I have him in my arms and he's healthy and he's growing. So yeah, I mean, it's still really sad, but I'm releasing it, and it was just an unfortunate situation, but we all came out on top and we all came out stronger, and I think, you know, more loving and more appreciative of our family. But the birth itself, so I didn't tear at all, which I was really excited for. You know, I think that's one thing I was really nervous, is I didn't want to tear at all. If he was bigger, would I have torn? I don't know. But I didn't tear, which was really great, especially with all the pressure of all the doctors and the nurses in there. Like, I really kept my cool, and I, you know, there was one moment where I did feel that it was time to push, but, you know, they were saying, like, you're not there yet, you're not fully dilated. And I've heard that in a lot of podcast stories or birth stories that I've listened to, is you're gonna have this moment where it really feels like to push, but you want to, like, kind of hold back to really make sure that you're really open. And that was probably the most challenging part. Like, yes, pushing him out was really challenging, but I think holding back the urge to push, the first time you feel that urge to push, to not, it was really, really hard. That's when my breathing that I was learning really came into play. So my breathing, wow, the power of the breath is, it's like dreaming over here and making noises. It's so adorable. The power of the breath. Like, I knew it was powerful, but wow, after having a baby and using the breath as your medicine or your pain relief has just, like, opened my eyes to, like, how the breath is powerful. It's truly beautiful. You know, if you guys don't know, I did my pregnancy all natural. I didn't have any pain medicine, any painkillers, or no epidurals. It wasn't even a thought to have it, even in the hospital when they were asking me. There was no moment where I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. Should I do an epidural? I was like, nope, I'm doing it natural. That's how I want to do it. I'm prepared, I'm excited, I want that experience, and I'm so glad I did. I did it all natural, and I was able to feel everything, you know, even if it was painful, I felt it all, and it was truly beautiful. But anyway, so the power of the breath, I did a lot of moaning, and I'll show you guys here what that sounds like, or what kind of sounds I was making. You know what, when I would feel a rush come on, I would just move. I would be either on the birth ball, or I'd be standing up kind of hunched over. I would sway my hips. Jake would also help, you know, put pressure on my hips and sway with me, and I would just go, Om, you know, like I was chanting in a yoga class. And that really helped a lot. Like, it's insane how much it helped, and it was just I don't know how to describe it. It was very beautiful how much it just, like, the pain just, like, washed away. And I also had to have my mind right. Like, I wasn't trying to run away from the pain. I was actually looking internal, and I was thinking about it, which sounds crazy, but I was, like, in it, and I was, like, just releasing it, you know. I was thinking about the waves of the ocean and coming in and coming out, and I was swaying with it, and I was thinking about a willow tree and the branches swaying, and Jake was an amazing support. Like, I couldn't have done it without him, because he was so amazing. He kept me focused, and he kept talking about a tree and how a tree is rooted into the earth and it's so strong, but yet the branches and the leaves are so loose and they sway, and it was just so beautiful to think of that.
Yeah, just drop your shoulders, relax. Get ready now. This is your time to breathe. So in between your contractions, I want you to gather your energy. Relax, reset. Like in the gym, between sets, can you relax? Relax that one. Contraction. Okay. Here we go.
So I was thinking of myself as being rooted deep into the earth, but swaying and just kind of releasing all of that energy. There's just a lot of energy that was coming out of me, and that was building up. And I was just kept thinking about it, releasing and letting it go. And that really helped a lot for me, doing those sounds. I'm sure the nurses just thought I was crazy, but I don't care. I was in my own world, connected with Jake, and we had those moments of making out with each other and really connecting with each other, and he had peaceful music playing in the background, which really helped a lot. When the contractions started to ramp up more, my sounds got a little bit deeper, a little bit louder, and as you guys will see, the birthing ball really helped a lot to move my hips. Moving a lot helped. I couldn't be on my back at all. I carried, you know, a lot of contractions in my back, especially when I was laying down, so I had to just keep moving. If it was up to me, honestly, I wish that I would have birthed on all fours, but of course they wanted me to lay on my back. I was in labor for about 10 hours of active labor. Obviously for like 3 days I was in labor because I, you know, had early contractions and had to do the whole life flighting thing. But active labor about 10 hours. I started in the morning and then I gave birth to him at night about like 8:51 p.m. So yeah, so when the moment came to actually start to push him out, you know, the doctors were coaching me. They were really great, you know, they were really nice. You know, there obviously was way too many people in the room that I didn't even know who they were, but it was interesting how they were cheering me on, I guess. You know, she was telling me to like really pull back my knees, and when I would start to like feel a rush come on or contraction, to like hold my breath in and push with all my might. And so when I was doing that and they were, you know, down there watching me, they'd go, "Oh, all right, come on, you're doing great, you're doing great." Like, "Oh, almost there," like, which I really appreciate, and I can understand why that can help somebody, but it was distracting. It was like, there was like 5 people like on the other side of my hoo-ha cheering me on. I was just like, just quiet, let me focus, you know. It was like, it was such a distraction, but I appreciate where they were coming from with it, I really do, but it's kind of a distraction. But yeah, so as I was pushing him, you know, I was holding my breath at first, but then I realized that that didn't really help for me. I just started just like screaming, like roaring, like, "Ah!" You know, just trying to get him out, which I feel if I was at home with a birth pool, with people that I wanted to have around me, my midwife, and obviously Jake, I wanted it to be more of a gentle birth. I didn't, you know, I probably would have made noises and stuff, but I feel with the situation, it made me like scream at the whole situation. Like I just had to let it all out by just yelling. But I don't think that I would have done that loud if I was home. I think I was just letting out everything that was happening. Just I let it all out, and I let every doctor and nurse there know it with my scream, and I didn't care. So someone did ask, what was the pain like before, during, and after? What do contractions feel like? I don't know if I can really describe. If I were to say or like compare it to something, it felt like a period cramp, really intense. Like it just built so intense that you just kind of want to pass out if you lose control. Like if I didn't get my breath just right, or if I am talking to somebody and like a nurse and I forget to like kind of start the breathing, it can take you over. Like I can see why people do epidurals or pain medicine, because if you are not on top of it, then it'll lose you, and you'll get engulfed by the pain, and your brain will just like be out of control. Like for me, I really had to be on top of it, and I had to like go internally. I had to close my eyes and I had to think about it, and I had to sway and make those noises, is what really helped with my pain management, like, or to manage my pain. And also to have Jake there to like look into his eyes. Like if I got distracted, he's like, focus, you know, and he would keep telling me things that I wanted to hear and needed to hear. But when the actual pushing started, it was, there was like some burning, some, I think they call it like the ring of fire. That's definitely a thing. It did hurt. I'm not going to sit here and say childbirth is beautiful and it's so amazing and it doesn't hurt and if you breathe it's great. No, it hurts. There was, you know, it was definitely a challenge. It was definitely painful, and yeah, it was kind of hard to, like, you know, I'm pushing, and you kind of feel them and they're cheering you on, and then I have to breathe. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna pass out, like I have to stop. And you stop and you can feel him, like I felt him come back up, and it's kind of discouraging, and you know, so I was, you know, just like, you really just are trying to push him out and you're trying to get the head out. So anyways, it hurt, of course. It was definitely painful, but using, like I said, the breath to help with that really helped. So after I have him and he's out, it is true, like, you don't think about the pain that you just went through. It just kind of just stops, and you're focused on him, and you're like, oh my gosh, he's here, or like, you know, what am I having? I don't remember the doctor saying that he's a boy. I just remember, like, when he came out, I saw his man part, so I was like, oh yeah, you know, we had a boy, but I was also distracted with everything else because I knew that they were going to take him, so I was just trying to make sure to, like, is he healthy, is he crying, and anyway. But it is true, after you have your baby and you go through all that, the pain just kind of, like, is gone. A lot of people talk about the shakes after you deliver. That's no joke. It's a real thing. I was shaking like crazy. My legs, I was trying so hard to not get them to shake, and to focus on the baby and all that stuff, and enjoy his presence before they took him. But my legs were going insane. My whole body was just shaking. I mean, I don't really think there's much more to say. You know, there was a little bit more things that happened, but I mean, that's the gist of it. But yeah, let's move on to the next thing. Postpartum. How my postpartum journey has been so far, and honestly, it's been great. You know, I feel that since having him was so traumatic, and we had to go through that whole thing of not having him and going through the hospital system and not even being in our hometown and being with our stuff, and us being in a whole new area that we have never been before. I think with all that happening, that by the time I got home, I was just in total bliss, and just, I was so happy to be home. I was so happy to be with him. I was so happy to be a family that I didn't feel sad. I didn't have a moment of depression. I didn't have a moment, you know, of course I cry. There was, like, I still cry, like I was saying, you know, at night, but overall it's been great. I feel happy. I feel love. I feel so much love for him and for our family, and how strong we were to get through that. That I haven't really had any kind of like bad moments. So yeah, I've also been taking a lot of ashwagandha, which also helps with relaxation. I do it in a powder form. It helps with my sleeping, to not have anxiety, to help me be calm, and to not, you know, stress out and stuff. So I highly recommend doing ashwagandha or reishi mushroom during pregnancy. Maybe ashwagandha do the 3rd trimester and postpartum, but the reishi I did through my whole pregnancy, and then added the ashwagandha 3rd trimester and postpartum, and I still do it. I love reishi. I love ashwagandha. I love all mushrooms. Ashwagandha is a root, but I highly recommend those, especially if you have a hard time sleeping or if you have anxiety. Ashwagandha is great for that. Yeah, I mean, postpartum has been really nice. I've been really lucky. I have a really great support system. Jake has been an amazing father so far. He speaks Mandarin to Fox a lot because we want to teach him Chinese. So that means I gotta learn, because I don't want to be the only one sitting at the table not knowing what they're talking about. So I've been learning, which is been challenging, but fun. It's always fun learning something new. Jake's been singing to him a lot, which has been really sweet, seeing that dynamic, taking him outside. He takes him outside so many times during the day, especially if we're at the rental. We don't really like to be inside a whole lot. We are somewhere tropical, so being outside is a must. But Jake will put him up into the plants, so you know, then Fox is looking around and he can see him and he reaches for him, and it's really cool. And then here at the property, you know, we take him around. With sleep, obviously, you know, we don't get 8 hours of sleep anymore. Psh, that's like out the window. But sleep has its good nights and its bad nights. You know, he does sleep really well. Honestly, overall, he's a really good baby. I've been around a lot of babies. I've worked with little kiddos. And he's really awesome. You know, he, you know, obviously has his moments of being fussy, but when he's, you know, in the rocker, when we set him down, he doesn't really get fussy. He just kind of like smiles and looks around, and he, like, you know, he's really good being content, and he's just really perfect. Like, he's just really great. He loves taking baths. Oh my gosh, him taking a bath is the funniest thing ever. He just like floats, and he loves it so much. And now that he's starting to smile more, he's a little over 2 months now, so he's starting to smile more, make a little bit more facial expressions, and he just is so adorable. So with sleeping, what we've been doing, so I am pumping maybe like once a day, because Jake does give Fox a bottle at night so I can get a little extra sleep. So like maybe the middle of the night. We're not really too concerned about sleep training, but he does kind of keep a nice schedule. We start bedtime around 7 o'clock at night. I'll read a book or give him a tummy massage and stuff, and then I'll start feeding, and then he'll get tired and I'll put him down, and then he wakes up at like 10, then he wakes up at midnight, then he'll wake up at like 3. He's pretty consistent. Some nights, like I said, are all over the place, and it's like every hour, or he's like gassy, or he has like a bubble, and you know, I'm trying to get it out and it keeps him up and he's a little fussy until you get that out. But on a good day, it's kind of like that. It's really consistent, like every 2 or 3 hours. But we've kind of made it to where Jake gives him a bottle maybe like midnight or 3 o'clock, and then I'll get some extra sleep. But first I have to pump, you know, because I'm feeling like way more engorged. So I'll pump really quick, put the bottle away or store it, and then I'll go to sleep while Jake feeds him and hangs out with him for a little bit. So that's been working really nice. I have been getting more sleep that way. I try to take naps with him. I'm not the best at taking naps, but sometimes, you know, I'll kind of force myself if I know that if I didn't get that much sleep the night before. So that's kind of how I've been sleeping going. He's a great sleeper. He doesn't really cry a whole lot when he does wake up to nurse at night. He kind of just like fusses, and he'll fall back asleep, and he'll kind of like start making grunting noises, and he'll fall back asleep. So he like kind of like gradually lets me wake up, which has been really nice. And he's good at taking naps. He's taking a nap right now. So now I'll talk about how breastfeeding's been going. For me, the first month, I would say, of breastfeeding was pretty brutal. Really sore, really chapped, pretty painful. You know, I know that they have to latch around the areola and not just the nipple. You know, my midwife taught me, and then when I was at the hospital, they did have a lactation consultant come in and talk to me and stuff, which was really nice to have that. So I knew I was doing it right. I knew he was latching on right. Everything was perfect. He was great. You know, it was just my nipples weren't used to it, you know, being sucked on so much. So that was really hard to get used to. It got really painful. You know, there's some moments where I did cry, and I was just like, oh my gosh, can I keep going with this? It was just pretty brutal. But I knew that I wanted to breastfeed, and I wanted to breastfeed for at least a year is my goal, and then we'll see after that. So I kept with it. And when Jake would do the bottle, it did kind of give me a break. It kind of let them heal a little bit, which was really nice, so he's not constantly just like on me all the time. So, and then, you know, I did use a lot of nipple cream. My midwife makes her own plantain nipple salve, so I was using a lot of that, which was amazing. I did also use a lot of the Earth Mama nipple cream, so I did, you know, cream up and stuff. But after the first month, it's, you know, now it's great. It's honestly, it's really nice. He latches really great. He loves nursing. I love nursing. And I mean, now that period is done and my nipples are used to it, I love nursing. I love being able to provide for him and giving him food and knowing that, you know, he's getting what he needs from me. And he's gaining weight like crazy. He's about 12.5 pounds. He's a little chunk of dunk. He is looking beautiful. His skin looks great. And knowing that he is gaining weight and looking so good from me is just really beautiful. I don't know, it feels really good. So we're doing good. There's a couple of breast pumps that I got, which I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to buy a whole bunch of breast pumps, but unfortunately, I don't know how, it just happened. So when I was at the hospital, they provided me with one because I wasn't home to be around my Haka that I bought, which is this breast pump. So they had to provide me with one because I wasn't with him for the first 3 days, so I had to pump to give him milk. And I forgot to bring that one with me, but I'll show it here on the screen of that pump. So that pump is nice. It's your basic hook it up cords, you know, pumping away. It's nice. It worked really well for what we needed for him, to help me kind of massage and see how much milk I was getting. Because I don't think I could have done that with the Haka at first, because I, you know, really needed to get a lot. So I really like the Haka for my letdown. I like how this one has like a little suction cup, so when I'm done I can just like suction it to the counter and it stays, which is nice. And honestly, I should have just kept with the breast pump that the hospital gave me because it works just fine. I don't pump, I don't pump every day. I just pump only when Jake gives him a bottle, if he only nurses from one side and this side is gone for a while and I need to kind of release it, then I'll use that pump. But I ended up buying the cordless pump, which is called the Willow, because I've been following them on Instagram while I was pregnant and debating if I should get it or not, and I ended up doing it. And honestly, these are great. I really do love it. If I was pumping every day, like if I had to like go to work and, you know, I had to provide milk for him if he was like going to a daycare or something like that, I can see how these can work really great for working mamas like that aren't around their kiddos or their babies. But I don't think that I needed to get this. I mean, maybe in the future when he gets a little bit bigger and there's more activities going on and I need it and I need to move around, I can see myself honestly using this. The first time I tried to use these is when my nipples were really sore and going through that whole month of figuring out nursing. It was so painful. It was so painful. And I know I was doing it right. You know, I watched a ton of videos. I made sure, you know, it was center and all that stuff. But I think now that I'm not so sore and my nipples are, you know, calloused over or whatever, I'll try it again and I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm afraid. I'm afraid to use it because it was so painful, on top of my nipples already being in so much pain. But these are really great, honestly. I really do like the Willow. I have nothing to complain about them. They're really awesome. So yeah, so there's that. So that's my breast pump fiasco of I have way too many and I don't need this many, and I was trying not to have that happen, but it did. So, but yeah. I'm going to answer some of your questions, and then I think what I'm going to do, because I don't want this video to be too long, I think I'm going to do a whole nother video on some of my favorite baby products that I've been using, a separate video, because I don't want it to go too long. So I'm going to just answer a couple of questions from Instagram, and then I think I'll just wrap it up from there. Someone asked, why do you think you went into early labor? Any thoughts being extra active? The T? I'll never know. I don't know. It could have been a bunch of things. I asked my midwife, I asked the doctors, like, why do you think this is happening? And who knows? It could have been because I had COVID, and I know a lot of mamas were going into early labor because of COVID, but it hasn't really been tested, or like, hasn't really been proven. So it could have been COVID. It could have been because, during my 3rd trimester I did, exert myself a little too much with traveling. Maybe I put too much stress on myself. I don't think it's because of the T. I don't think that at all. Maybe he just wanted to come out. I don't know. He wanted to be early. Could have been from COVID, it could have been from too much stress of moving. I'll never know, and that's okay, whatever. I can't, you know, sit here and stress myself about it, you know. It is what it is. I'm gonna end the video. Be on the lookout for the other video of my favorite baby products. I was gonna show him in this video, but I just don't want this to be too long, and I know he's gonna be waking up soon. He's already making some grunting noises, and I'll see you guys for the next video.